have some fun.
All right, let's go.
Love it.
New show, new segments. Let's get it. Robert Whittaker, unfortunately, hours before the event, suffered a hernia, pulled out, went to hospital, got some surgery, and he's out for approximately 4 to 6 weeks. We've heard a lot of talk online about him getting stripped for the UFC title. You think that's fair?
Why is it that when the Twitterverse
Yes.
explodes, right?
Yes.
Robert Whittaker pulled up. The Twitterverse goes crazy. They're like, oh my god, strip him of the title, strip him of the title. We then have to react to it and act like it's a genuine thing that's worth talking about.
Yeah.
Twitter's going to react because in the moment, you were upset. I was super upset
For
as
sure.
well. I wanted to see a fight.
Yeah.
That card was so thin that obviously we needed more fights on it.
Yeah.
So for it to follow, devastating. But should he be stripped of his title? Hell no.
Regional shows should not be pay-per-views. When you're so top-heavy and you only have 2 fights that stand out from the whole card and one of them goes, well, you know what that is? That's less than 100,000 pay-per-view buys right there.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So obviously the fans are irritated, not by Whittaker, but more by the UFC's decision not to package us something that's palatable. Don't come at us with any of that talk anymore because we're not hearing it.
Yeah.
He keeps the title. I don't think he's even lost at middleweight. The guy's on like an 8-fight winning streak at middleweight. He could potentially be the GOAT, and I probably shouldn't say that because we just saw the middleweight GOAT fight yesterday. Let's move on. Let's talk about the real card.
Okay.
That's what everybody wants to hear about.
Definitely.
Did Adesanya look bad, or did Silva look good? When you looked at that fight, it looked closer than maybe the odds makers thought it was. What do you think about that?
I think Silva looked good. Like, I think there's something about when someone gives you a challenge that really excites you, that makes you want to kind of step up and bring and put your best foot forward.
Right.
I think that's what we saw in Anderson Silva, where he was like, okay, here's a young lion that really wants to kind of show me up. I think he had Adesanya leaning up against the fence because he had pushed him.
Yes.
And then he threw that flying knee right behind it. Adesanya was smart to step to the side, but that looked like vintage Silva. So I was really impressed with that performance, man. Like,
listen, I don't mean to be negative. I don't know if I woke up on the negative side of the bed here, but I wasn't impressed with either fighter, if I'm being honest. I thought there was way too much respect shown. Anderson came in there to have a good time rather than to win the fight. Like, he knew he was down 2 rounds to nothing going into that third. I need to see some urgency. I don't want to see your back against the fence just waiting for 30 seconds for Adesanya to pop forward.
That's Anderson Silva, though. Like,
it is.
I always hear this, like, why is he playing around so much? Why is he doing all this showboating? That is Anderson Silva, right?
But he rounds up and he knows, forget it. This fight's easy.
I think if we look at his resume, that's him in every single fight because he has to create a certain level of chaos and uncertainty before he's like, okay, I got him right where I want him, and then he can land something devastating. So, and I love seeing him kind of like hands down just dodging punches. It looks crazy.
Yes.
But I think the psychological
and there was a few he wasn't dodging. He was he was catching a few.
He was catching on the chin.
I was just thinking Weidman the whole time. I'm like, oh no, Anderson, this is not what you need to be doing at 43 years old. Let's transition and move a little forward then, if we can.
Let's go ahead, yeah.
We saw Kelvin Gastelum on the sidelines with that belt over his shoulder. That was pretty dope.
I love how after Adesanya won the fight, right away, in the post-fight interview, he called out Kelvin Gastelum and was like, take off that belt. But Kelvin Gastelum, who was supposed to fight Whittaker, right?
Exactly.
He, after Whittaker pulled out, he basically somehow got his hands on the belt and he had it over his shoulder sitting ringside like he had truly won it.
Yeah.
So that's why Adesanya went and called him out, and I just found that whole exchange hilarious, man.
It was funny, and then Gastelum's reasoning was even funnier. He's like, well, we both made weight, so that's a forfeit because he pulled out with like 4 hours to go in the fight. Or there was nothing that Kelvin did to deserve that belt. It was just weird altogether. I do have sympathy for Kelvin Gastelum because he did fly all the way to Melbourne, Australia, took his family with him, and put that training in, but boo-hoo!
To see Kelvin Gastelum sitting on the side already holding the belt, it kind of already made me start salivating for that matchup. Yeah. Already like, yo, Adesanya, Kelvin Gastelum, like, yo, let's go, I'm ready for that. So
by him throwing that belt over his shoulder, that's automatic disrespect to Whittaker, who is, what we think, is still the rightful champion.
On average, 6 weeks is how long it takes a herniated disc to heal in the first place. So, I mean, he should be back really soon, I'm hoping. Either Whittaker takes on Gastelum, and if Whittaker really can't make it back, then we can look at an interim. But to say that he's going to now leapfrog
Gastelum and fight Whittaker.
I mean, how ridiculous. Like, how ridiculous is that? So I don't have time for that one. I don't even have yet. It's a waste of my time, frankly.
Well, it just so happens that April 27th, there's 2 other middleweights clashing. That's Yoel Romero versus Borrachinho. Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
Romero, white belts, recently lost to Whittaker, but that was a split decision. So it can be argued that if he wins 2 fights, he deserves that shot at him for the 3rd time.
I'm not sure that Romero didn't win that second fight, right? They called it a split in favor, but that's how close it was. A lot of people have Romero winning that fight. This is a guy that's been at the top of that middleweight division rush for so long, and obviously he's a freak, he's a specimen. That division, which used to be so trash, is now becoming like a real division to watch. So you're right, that's one that we have to watch.
Paulo Costa was on his Twitter, and he said that scrawny Adesanya did not look.
Oh my God!
Did not look impressive.
If you guys haven't seen Paulo Costa yet, like we're talking about one of the most handsome men in the UFC. Really strong hands, hits people and devastates them in a couple punches.
Yeah.
So if I'm being patient and not kind of rushing that Kelvin Gastelum fight, I think you're right on the money with that call for like, let's see who comes out of Romero Costa.
Right.
And that person fights Adesanya. That would be a crazy, crazy fight that would then lead nicely into a title fight after that.
So listen, we talked about the future of the middleweight title and who deserves the shot. We know Anderson's not in that picture. What do we do with this guy? He said he doesn't want to retire.
A novel idea here. Guys, just stay with me on this one, but Roy Jones recently got his own promotion inside the UFC.
Roy Jones Jr.
Roy Jones Jr., the legend, okay? There was some drama back and forth between a Roy Jones Jr. and an Anderson Silva in terms of maybe doing a super fight.
Respectful drama, because Anderson always wanted to fight him.
I need to see that fight before Silva retires, and that has to happen for me.
So is that inside the octagon, or is that in the boxing ring?
Thanks for clarifying. That's a boxing match, okay? Yeah. Because Roy Jones Jr. is one of the greatest boxers of all time, but I think at this point he's closer to 50.
Yeah, he's pushing it.
Exactly.
But he did fight relatively recently. He did fight about a year ago, year and a half ago. So he's in boxing shape, and he came out with a win.
Because a prime Roy Jones against a prime Anderson Silva is not a fair boxing fight, right? But Anderson Silva right now showing the speed that even he showed against Adesanya, taking on Roy Jones at this stage, closer to 50. It's compelling, guys. We gotta line that up.
Listen, that is a curveball. You heard it here first, too.
Imagine the antics, hands down, hands behind.
Yeah.
It's gonna be ridiculous theater,
Anderson going like this.
Yeah.
Roy just like this.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
Crazy.
Theater, really. Yeah. There's a lot to be excited for, because this upcoming weekend, there's 3 events. 2 Bellator, 1 in UFC. The Friday night main event is Matt Mitrione versus Sergey Karatanov. Yeah. I mean, it's a yawn. Nobody cares. Yeah, put that thumbs down. I mean, and that's the main event. So you can think about the card below that.
I'm not going to be tuning in for that.
Yeah, you know what? That fight's not for me. But Saturday night, we have MVP, my guy, Michael Venom Page, fighting Semtex Paul Daley.
Yeah.
Now, that is a hardcore fan's dream. Now, these two hate each other. They're both from the UK. Paul Daley's a veteran. So he's always had that clout, and he's always had that respect, like Michael Bisping in the UK. Whereas Michael Venom Page was that up-and-comer and never got the respect from Paul Daley. Somehow, drama formed 5 years ago, whatever it was, and they hate each other.
I'm glad you gave that background right there, because I'll tell you, this past weekend I was watching the press conference that leads up to that event.
Yeah.
All you see is Paul Daley, MVP, just kind of going back and forth aggressively. Like, I know that they're going to fight, but why is there so much animosity between these two fighters, right? To the point where MVP is calling Paul Daley Paula Daley. And
Paula!
Exactly.
Paula!
And Daley's telling MVP to shut up. It got to that point where you could tell it wasn't just for the cameras. There's a real dislike between these two.
Yes.
I'm going to be tuning in for that one for show.
You know it's a stand-up fight.
Yeah.
You guys may remember from Paul Daley from his UFC days before he got kicked out.
Yeah.
But he's been knocking people unconscious. And then Michael Venom Page, listen, I have to give this guy his time to shine right now. He's Adesanya 2.0 when it comes...
MVP.
Yes.
MVP, okay.
When it comes to movement, showboating, dancing in the octagon, free-flowing fighting, there's nobody in MMA that's better than him.
I have that picture in my mind of after he had beat
Cyborg.
Cyborg, is that who it was? I was going to say some no-name fighter, not disrespect Cyborg, but the way that he landed a knee and then just stood there and put his hands up like you just did a moment ago. You guys just have to tune in.
You gotta watch him. Yeah, exactly. The unfortunate part about him is he doesn't fight that often. He's not as active of a fighter. But now he's in this welterweight tournament. Rory McDonald's in that. John Fitch is in that. So he's going to fight the upper echelon of the welterweight division.
And there's $1 million prize on the line.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Whoever wins is going to be a millionaire apparently.
Yeah. So this gets him one step closer, so you gotta watch that. So that's Sunday, the UFC, the main event.
If you guys don't know Cain Velasquez, I mean, this is someone that literally a lot of people think is the greatest heavyweight to ever grace the octagon.
Yes.
That's the type of fighter that we're talking about.
He beat Brock Lesnar. Now, it's styles make fights. You got Cain, who's a wrestling specialist.
Yeah.
You got Francis, who keeps that one on the feet.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the UFC did a disservice by getting Cain in this type of matchup?
A disservice to Cain, like...
Yeah.
I could see why people would feel that way. I mean, if you look at Ngannou's last 2 matchups as well, he's fought wrestlers. You know that he fought Miocic, someone that took him down and just beat on him in that title fight that everyone kind of was so hyped about.
Yeah.
Ngannou learned so much from that Miocic fight, took it to Curtis Blades, who he had already beat, and showed how much he'd grown in the wrestling department.
Yes.
And now he gets to fight another wrestler. I mean, Cain obviously likes to stand up, but he's a wrestler. It's a tough matchup to bring someone in that's, like you said, has been inactive as after, was it 2 years that Cain's been out for? I mean...
Yeah, he's been out at least 2 years. Yeah, so he hasn't seen Octagon
matchup. So with all of that said, I'm going to say it's actually not too early. Velasquez is always hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know how old this guy is at this point in time, but you know that his days of fighting are not too long.
Right.
So if he's going to basically come back to the octagon, Cain being the fighter that he was, I know that he wants to regain the belt if it's at all possible.
Yes.
He doesn't have the luxury of time to be able to say, okay, let me take on the number 10 contender and then move up to the 5. Cain keeps a heavy pace. We know that Ngannou with all that muscle mass. I mean, he basically looks like my body double, guys, if you want to picture how strong he is.
Yeah.
So with that type of musculature, he could gas, and that's where we could see Cain overwhelm Ngannou.
Yeah.
So it's a super compelling matchup, man. And all of that drama surrounding Whittaker pulling out of the fight with the herniated disc, I think there's a real question that came to light in terms of when should a champion actually be stripped of their belt? It makes sense that if a champion hasn't fought in about a year's time, they should be stripped. I think that would be best for the sport. It would give all the fighters a lot of clarity, right? So that makes a lot of sense to me. Frankly, though, we have to decide what we want. Do we want good fights, or do we want to do what's in the best interest of the sport, or do we want to do what's in the best interest of entertainment? Because if it's for the sake of entertainment, you can see why the UFC doesn't want to make clear guidelines. They want to make it such that if there's a big-name fighter who has the opportunity to kind of come back and create a big fight for the fans, they want to be able to have that latitude so that they can create fights like that. Yes, for the betterment of the sport, 365 days a champion should be stripped, but I like entertainment, if I'm being frank with you guys, and for that reason, I don't know that we should be calling for any type of strict guidelines. Maybe this is one of those occasions where the UFC actually should have the latitude that they do to put on the best fight for the fans.
It's better betting with Q and Rush. And this is going to be my Anderson.
With Q and Rush.
Alright.
Too good.
It's your favorite segment, MMA Better Betting with Q and Raj. Listen, Bellator odds aren't up yet, so throw that out the window because we're not talking about that.
That's the one I wanted to talk about too, if I'm being frank. Like that Daley MVP fight, I want to know what the odds look like so I can comment on them.
So let's speculate. So who do you got winning that fight then?
MVP. I mean, we have someone that just has the length, he has the skill set, so I have him winning the fight, but I think if it's anything above a plus 200 rating for Paul Daley, I'm probably going with Semtex because I do think he can probably catch him, especially with the animosity in that fight. I'm not putting it past him, so it depends.
When you have that one-hitter quitter like Paul Daley does, it doesn't hurt to throw a couple dollars down. If you can double, quadruple your money.
That's what I'm trying to tell him.
And that's what you told him. Yeah. Let's move to the UFC. Let's move to the main event. Cain Velasquez taking on the Predator,
Francis Ngannou. Yeah, there we go.
So, betting line came out.
Okay.
And we alluded to this earlier in that Cain's a favorite. Minus 225 to the Predators plus 185.
Okay.
Where's your money going?
Great question. That's one of these fights where I would say it's probably a pick-em. I kind of like those odds right where they are.
Yeah.
I think Cain should be the favorite. Obviously, we don't know exactly what version of Cain's going to come back to the octagon.
Yeah.
But I look at it as he's been away for, let's call it 2 years. He should be rested. He should be healthy. And the healthy Cain is a very dangerous Cain. So I like the odds where they're at.
Okay.
I'm probably sliding a little bit to the Ngannou side of things, but I'm going to be straight up. That's just because I'm an Ngannou fan.
Listen, you guys want to make some money? Yeah. I'll tell you how to make the money. You go Francis by knockout.
Oh.
So that's a plus 225 right there. So Ngannou has 25 minutes to land one shot on Cain's chin. And he showed glimpses of that even against Miocic. He was always dangerous until Miocic got the takedown.
Yeah.
Francis has only gotten better. That was over a year ago. So you know he's improved. You know what Cain brings to the table. In fact, Miocic, we didn't know brought that to the table when he fought him. But we know what Cain brings to the table. So if you're telling me he hasn't been training that takedown defense, you'd be wrong.
I like the confidence he had on that, yeah. Because I was kind of in the pick'em stage, with what you just presented, I was like, damn, like, maybe that is the right call. Okay.
Our guy, Aljamain Sterling, heavy underdog in what I think a winnable fight against Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah.
Plus 170, Jimmy's minus 200 in that.
These two, I mean, Aljo has caught some unfortunate losses in the octagon.
Yeah.
I remember the one, obviously, against Marlon Moraes like it was yesterday, where Marlon was able to land that knee on Aljo's chin as he was going for the takedown and completely knock him out cold.
Yeah.
So because of that's imprinted in my mind, I'm guessing that's what's imprinted in the odd makers' minds as well.
Yeah.
Because I know he's won since then, but plus 170 betting line, I think it looks past Aljo a little bit more than I'm comfortable with.
Right.
Aljo has a lot of tools, kicks, punches, great wrestling, so I don't think those odds are, make a lot of sense to me. I'm riding with Aljo on that one easy.
Yeah, I got Aljo on that one too. Yeah. Jimmy Rivera, recent loss to Marlon Moraes. They're both good wrestlers, and that's where I think the wrestling will nullify each other. So now it's contested on the feet. Now Jimmy does have some good hands, and he showed that against Uriah Faber, but he's got little dinosaur arms, and I think
that's ruthless. Okay. Yeah.
I think Aljo can use distancing well.
The range,
Aljo's very good with leg kicks and teeth, so I think he can do that, and he can get the decision. So no finish there, but let's take Aljo for the underdog. Put $10, win yourself $17, throw that in your pocket.
There you go.
Now you're close to $40-50 at this point. Andre Feely trains with Team Alpha Male Uriah Faber. Miles Jury, another Californian trained fighter. I think he trains at Alliance. That's a good fight too.
Great fight. I remember maybe whatever it was, when Miles Jury was on the come-up in that lightweight division, and it looked like this guy was about to be champion.
Right.
He had just beat Michael Johnson, and you were like, oh, this guy is a real contender.
14-1 at that point or something crazy.
And then Cerrone comes around and just gives him the beatdown of if you guys haven't seen that fight, Miles Jury against Donald Cerrone, go back, watch that fight. You'll see a vintage Cerrone, and you'll see why Cerrone is who Cerrone is today.
Those FU kicks on the ground that he was kicking him with, he was trying to break his legs. So you got to watch that fight. For sure.
I like Miles Jury because I think if we're seeing the Miles Jury that we saw at that point in time, or someone that basically has figured out the mental a little bit more, his talent level, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to get past the Feely. What were the odds again?
Minus 200 for Miles Jury.
Okay.
So you're in line with what the odds makers think.
Yeah.
And then the plus 160 for Andre Feely on that side.
Okay, those are. I might have to slide back and pick him on that. I got to be honest because those are pretty fair odds on that one as well. But I'm riding with Miles Jury.
I'm riding with Feely. I wouldn't go with the knockout, even though I think he can get the knockout.
Okay.
But I like Feely. I like his elusiveness. I think he can catch Miles Jury a few times. I think he can show out on the feet a little bit. He's got to keep the fight standing. Can't get taken down. But go with Andre Feely. Net yourself another $16. Walk out of there with $60 with Q and Raj.
We should start keeping tally on this too.
All right, well, let us know what you think of the segment. Let us know what you think of the show.
Yes.
Because this is it, new format.
I kind of feel like we killed it. And maybe that's a little bit strong to say. Obviously, we're early 2 white belts in this.
Anderson dance.
Yeah, okay.